Hey, Steve.
Supervisor Matt Ward.
Hey Matt, how are you?
Good. Thanks so much for having me.
I thought you were playing golf or something.
Just like you're going to say that, sir.
Okay, we got B&L's report, the last one. I mean, the last one. So, thank you. Just, this is the engineer's report. Engineer's report. This down there.
Yeah, I saw it came down in the email.
Give me one down there.
Thank you.
And this one.
I don't need it.
You don't need it?
I printed it out already. Thank you.
Okay. Also, right here. Did you print out,
Yep. Yep.
hmm,
As far, yeah, I don't know, Steve might need
Pat,
this parking thing.
Pat's
Steve might
I
need, I
got.
don't know.
here,
I got Pat's.
you got it?
Yeah.
Print it out?
Yep.
I didn't print that.
Thank you. It's Pat and Rouse for the local law. And you have yours, right? And you don't need it? Okay.
No, just the microphone.
That's the microphone. Okay. All right, so. Let's see about everything here.
I'm gonna go golfing Sunday. I'm gonna go golfing Sunday in that 70-degree weather.
Nikki, how many do you need to sign
You?
this?
3.
Okay, there's 3 on these.
Yeah, there's 3. Don't worry about the rest. There. All done.
Chief Pinster, are you on?
Yes, sir. I'm here, Mike.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
All set, town clerk?
I'm all set.
Then we'll start with roll call, please. Jim, we're all set, okay? I do.
Who's this? Yours?
Nope.
Who didn't get a packet? I guess, everybody did. I got it, I know. Okay, roll call. We all set?
We are
Mike Farrar,
present.
John Dyson. Here. Doug Avery,
Present.
Dave DeLuis,
Here.
Steve Churchill.
Here.
We got a quorum.
We have a quorum. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Again, I'd like to welcome our community members, hopefully watching on live streamed on FingerLakes1.com. Hopefully, maybe in June. I know I said this back in April. I was hoping in May we would be able to get together. I'm hoping and praying that in June we can hopefully get back to a normal situation. But in the meantime, I appreciate your patience and understanding. It's not an easy thing to do, and I want to thank all the department people, heads to joining in, and town attorney and so forth, grant writers, Matt Horn, and our town engineer, Peter Baker, is here on the phone. So folks on the phone, especially Peter and Pat, because you'll be doing more talking than anybody else, make sure you speak loud and clear so that Finger Lakes One can pick it up on the audio part of their presentation, okay? Okay, this would normally be a part where we listen to petitioners. I have two petitioners, and I'm going to read letters that they wrote. So please, the first one is from to the Seneca Falls Town Council, the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee, from them. On behalf of Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee, I'm requesting that you do not renew SMI's operating permit. SMI has been and currently is in violation of the Seneca Falls Town Code, along with the Seneca Falls landfill permit conditions and host agreement. SMI is not our friend or trusted neighbor. It is a corporate giant that cares about its own financial profit, not about the health and welfare of our community. Noxious odors continue to permeate our town, which is a violation of our town code and jeopardize our community. Seneca Falls Town Code 300-26, Performance Standards B, odor states, no use within any district shall emit an odor that is unreasonably offensive as measured at the property line of use. Our town code also allows you to protect our town and hold the landfill accountable for this violation. Seneca Falls Town Code 185.5, Landfill Permit Requirements E. Condition states the town board may impose conditions on the construction and operation of any landfill as may be necessary to protect public health, safety, welfare, or the environment. Such conditions may address the environment and economic impacts, including but not limited to odor, dust, noise, community character, litter, vermin, traffic, surface water and groundwater quality, air quality, property values, tourism and economic development, financial security for closure and post-closure monitoring and remediation, aesthetics, land use, and environmental monitoring. Not only does the stench persist, but SMI's complaint management program is flawed and ineffective. According to the host agreement, Section 12D, Seneca Metals will timely investigate the complaint and will implement reasonable corrective measures to eliminate or mitigate the conditions giving rise to the complaint. Anyone who's ever called the complaint hotline knows that a timely investigation does not occur. And clearly, corrective measures to eliminate or mitigate odors have completely failed. An independent odor reporting system, which should be mandatory before the permit is even considered. The Town of Seneca Falls landfill permit also addresses the odor issues in host agreement. It states that Seneca Metals will comply with the host community agreement between the town and Seneca Metals dated May 16, 2007. This would include payments which SMI has recently threatened to withdraw. SMI has been out of compliance for years, and they will continue this path of non-compliance if you continue to allow it. Please do not renew their operating permit. Stand up to Seneca Metals and insist they comply with their obligations or shut them down. And this was sent in by Valerie Sandless, SFEAC Chairwoman. Valerie, thank you. Hopefully all is safe in Florida. I almost had to stop myself from reading because you surpassed the 3 minutes, but I forgot about it and just kept going. But Val and that group, thank you for your input. And our second petitioner tonight is Dominica Catalano. Good evening. I am requesting this letter be read out aloud at the upcoming town board meeting scheduled for tonight, May 5th. As a concerned member of the Seneca Falls community, I'm requesting the Seneca Falls Town Board take the necessary steps to deny Seneca Metals Incorporated their operating permit for their facility located on State Route 414. I believe it's time for the board to demand the landfill operate in full compliance with the host agreement. The Seneca Meadows landfill continues to operate and receive trash and pollute our air with the acrid and foul smells that continually emanate from the landfill without compliance with the host agreement, making it most often impossible to enjoy outdoor activities in our neighborhoods. In addition, the landfill is trying to intimidate our community and members of the board with empty threats of litigation which will certainly come at a cost to our community. On behalf of our beautiful community, and especially our young children and the elderly, I'm imploring the members of the board to refuse to issue Seneca Meadows landfill its operating permit until the landfill complies fully with the host agreement. Thank you in advance for your good judgment and cooperation related to this issue. And again, that's from Dominica Catalano. And Dominica, thank you for writing that in. I think all the town board members also received letters from Bruce Benefiglia from Benedette, letters from Waterloo Container and Bill Lutz, and I think another letter came from Rachel Wheel today, or yesterday, also. Didn't want me to read it in public, but those letters we received also.
There's also one from John Dentis, too.
Oh yeah, I got an email from John Dennis, was correct. Okay, next up, not on the agenda, but something I want to just remind board members. I've been getting a lot of phone calls from businesses, or when I say a lot, that wanted to meet with me and other board members about the permit. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, those things can't happen. So I told them the best thing to do is either hold off until June, hopefully, or write a letter or write emails to the board members. But I'm sure some of you are probably getting similar requests. I just want to remind folks about meeting requirements. Work sessions, some towns designate certain meetings as work sessions or informal meetings because the board has no intention of voting on any matter or taking any action. Significantly, there is no statutory reference to work sessions or the like in any gathering of a quorum of a public body for the purpose of conducting business is considered a meeting, and that is open to the public and requires notice whether or not there's an intent to take action regardless of the manner in which a gathering may be characterized. See Orange County Publications versus Council of the City of Newburgh, 45 New York, 2D, 947, 1978. Again, I've gotten requests from people. I've told them I can't meet with them and other board members. If there's two of us I can meet, I can't meet with three or more. And I just want to make sure everybody understands, in case you get similar requests, just be careful what we're doing, okay? Okay, reports. Could I have, no, approval minutes, thank you, I'm sorry. I need a motion to approve the monthly minutes from April 27, regular meeting.
Separately, so moved.
So moved, the second please.
Second.
Second by Don, moved by Doug. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the special meeting minutes of April 22nd, 2020.
Second.
Moved by Mike Ferrara, second by Dave DeLeas. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Reports. I make a motion to accept the dog control officer report for the month of April. And second, please.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Make a motion to accept the zoning officer's report for the month of April. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Just a side note, while I get to the next report, we tried to do a zoning planning board meeting last week. We had some technical difficulties. It was a Zoom meeting, WebEx type of meeting, whatever. We had some technical difficulties with the server, so that meeting never happened, unfortunately. That meeting's been rescheduled, a virtual meeting for Thursday night, starting with planning and then followed by zoning, because there are some pressing applications that we have to meet. The Heritage Group met, and that meeting was successfully virtually ran, so there was no problems there. So hopefully Thursday night will be okay. I guess this is all Zoom. Okay. But can I have I make a motion to accept the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation report for the month of April. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second. Discussion. Any questions? Again, if during these reports, everybody's on here. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And department heads, if you want to throw something in while we're doing your report, you got 30 seconds to do it, but feel free to do it.
I'm good, Mike. My report stands as written. If anybody has questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
That's carried. I have a motion to accept the Highway Superintendent's April report. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Just,
Mike.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, Mike, I don't know if you want to bring this up now. I talked to you today about the boiler system.
Yep.
I didn't know if you want to bring that up.
I was going to bring that up under new business, Jim, but definitely we'll do that, okay? Yeah, because we'll have to approve it under new business versus report period, so I'll fill them in hopefully very soon, okay?
Yep, we're good to go on the report, then, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Doug has a question.
yeah, and I think the single most frequent question I have is, when's the dumping area gonna open up again? Do we have an answer?
Jim, did you hear that question?
Yes, I did, Mike. I guess we're kind of holding off until the 15th when the governor makes his decision here. Right now, I've got a couple guys that are laid off, so we're short-staffed as far as that goes, so we're just waiting on that.
Yeah, and I get the same question often, and also dumpsters, but when we cut back staff, there's only X amount of people to go around. And I've been reminding town of Seneca Falls residents that you can go to the landfill and dump whatever you need at no charge. Sometimes they ask you for your license, sometimes they don't. It's a little bit more inconvenient, but, excuse me. In the meantime, that will help out the cause. And we're also doing, the week of May 18th, we're doing brush pickup, okay? And we encourage all of our town residents to have their stuff out on Sunday night, May 17th. Hopefully, we'll probably pick it up within a day or day and a half. So if you put it out on Wednesday or Tuesday, it might not get picked up, okay? So that's all set for that, right, Jim? You're all set on that one?
Yes, Mike, I just want to be clear that it's brush and leaves only, no rubbish.
Okay. Just to restate what the highway superintendent said, is that to our town residents listening tonight, brush only, not garbage, not refrigerators, not stoves, brush only.
Nothing.
I just got a text from,
I'm sorry?
I got a text from Tim Snyder, something's beeping. It went up the fire alarm, what's going on?
No, we're fine here.
I don't know.
Something
I don't know.
like
My phone's off,
It
so.
sounds like
Maybe.
actually my AT&T system does that when a sensor is acting up.
I don't know. Anyway,
Okay.
if it's on fire, we'll evacuate quickly.
He just came back, it's the jury room door, Sebastian is coming over to fix it.
Thank you. Okay.
There he is.
Why'd you break it in the first place?
Run the card over. There you go. I don't know why it does that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor of approving the highway superintendent's report?
Hi.
Aye.
So carried. I make a motion to accept the assessor's report for the month of April. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion. With no discussion, all in favor? Aye. So carried. Make a motion to accept the town attorney's report for the month of April that Pat is going to probably provide to us.
Okay.
Attorney Morrell?
some news this past month, and that is that the Article 78 that was filed by Seneca Meadows, the town made a motion to dismiss, as I'm sure you saw in the news. The motion to dismiss was granted. So I would want to thank and also point out to the board that David Howe from Bournemouth Code did a great job on that for the town. I know he had another meeting this evening, otherwise he would be on this call as well. But he did a great job for the town, and I want to thank him for that. And so the town came out, our motion was granted. I expect that the judge's ruling will be subject to a notice of appeal, which would come within the next month or so, and then Seneca Meadows, if they are going to pursue the appeal, generally speaking, we would know whether or not they're going to pursue that within say 6 months or so. But otherwise, for right now, with the motion was granted, and that the suit was dismissed. Other than that, there are many items that will be coming up on the agenda that we can discuss as they come up.
Okay. Thanks, Pat. If that appeal does happen, just so everybody knows, it'll go in front of the 4th District of the Appellate Court in Rochester. I believe that's a 5-judge panel. I think, right, Pat, a 5-judge panel?
Yes, that would be going up to Rochester to the 4th Department.
Okay.
And it's a panel of judges, not just one person.
Great. Okay. Great.
Okay.
All right. Have a motion to, or I'm sorry.
We accept it.
Yeah. Can I don't know if I even made a motion. Did I make a motion? Nikki, did I make a motion to accept that report?
No, you didn't.
Okay. So can I have a motion to accept the town attorney's report?
So
So moved and seconded by Dave Delas. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I make a motion to accept the Seneca Falls Water and Sewer Department's April's report. Have a second, please.
Second.
Discussion.
The only thing I saw that was concerning was item number 2, where they're trying to get masks and they can't. So is that a problem going forward, or is that,
They got him.
they got them?
I believe when, problem solved, right, Joy? We took
Okay.
care of that for you?
Yes,
Good.
So,
all taken care of.
Thank
Right.
you.
and we've had a lot of help with Stu, or Police Chief Pinstra has helped out, and the county provided us also with 100. They got a shipment in, so they distributed, I believe, 100 to each of the towns. So I think we're in good shape right now, and I think we got an order in, more order in, right? Chief Pinstra, we have another order in, you think?
We're trying. They're getting turned back now, so I'm expecting at any time though these masks will start to catch up and we'll start to be getting some more in.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. There is no town justice report, but under new business, I do have to bring something up there. You got one?
We have a vote on this.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Motion approved.
Thank you. With no further discussion on that report on the water and sewer, all in favor of accepting the report?
Aye.
That's carried. Town justice, the court is closed, has been closed, obviously. I do have something when we get to new business about that, and we'll talk about. All right, can I have a motion to accept the April report from the police chief and the police department?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Good.
No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Again, Chief Pinstra and all department people, please convey to your people who are on the front lines, we appreciate it. The town their efforts in a very difficult time, and we appreciate them maintaining masks and social distancing and all of that stuff. So their efforts do not go unnoticed. So please, on behalf of the board, extend our gratitude to everyone. Thank you. Okay. You got it. This time I make a motion to accept the,
Accept the report.
I'm sorry?
We gotta accept.
How did I miss the assessor's report?
No. I said police chief. Accept the report.
We did.
Police chief, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to,
I don't know.
Did we vote on the police chief's
Did
report?
we? No.
Okay, I thought we did, but in case we didn't,
Okay.
okay,
right,
all in
we're
favor of
set.
accepting the report?
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
I didn't have it
Okay.
down because you started talking, so.
Okay, Debbie, was that you? No.
yes, you guys want to, okay.
Are you okay? You need to say anything, buddy?
No, everything's good on my end, just want to let you know you guys did approve it.
Okay, yep, I knew that. Okay, I make a motion to accept the town engineer's B&L report for the month of April. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second. Peter, you want to give us anything that's not in the report, or
Sure.
fill some gaps in for us?
Sure, so I'm saying 30 seconds. The two things I know about running your business, regarding the sewer rehab, that's probably the most active project we have right now. There's two things. I submitted a zero-cost change order to the town that essentially provides an authorization for the contractor to complete some additional sewer lining as part of the project. We had a significant amount of sewer inspection. We just completed about 14,000 feet. We've reviewed probably the first 2/3 of that, and we would like to authorize that about 4,800 feet of pipe to be relined. That's what essentially meets the budget of the project. Right now, the project's tracking to be slightly below budget. Our goal is to try to kind of get to the maximum amount authorized by the town, simply because to take advantage of the 0% financing and 25% grant. The more we do, the higher the grant payout will be as well. Along those lines, I think last week I submitted an amendment on construction administration, construction observation services to go along with that project. Because of the late start last year, a lot of work was delayed, could not get done in the spring. The contractor, which, their schedule is out of our control. They're pretty much pushing right now to get done. And we're probably in the 6th month of our services. I think we have about 5 months budget for that. So we've provided an amendment to extend those services as well.
Yeah, you submitted it, but we're not paying it, so I appreciate you submitting that, everything. I'm just kidding, Peter, that's all. We got it, I think it's in our, it's in our pay the bills pile tonight, so you're good, okay? All right, any questions for Peter?
Do we need to approve this change order?
I think
I
that's
think we should.
under new business, Nikki?
Change order will need to.
We need to-
Okay, yeah, that's under new business, that's fine, okay.
But I don't know, it's not listed on our agenda, but we should do that, right, Peter?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we'll add that to our agenda.
I think we did a change order with no cost last
You know,
year.
on that note, the Green Mountain, the company that's doing lining, they probably will be out the week, I believe it's going to be the week after this coming Monday, probably about a week and a half to start that work again. So they've
Okay.
got the 4,800 linear feet plus. There's another, I think there's almost another 5,000 feet that they had that, it had to be completed from the prior authorization.
Got it, okay.
What's the number of that change order, Peter?
5.
5? I'm gonna check it out. Number 5.
Peter,
Listen to Nikki, I sent it out pretty late because we were pushing to go through all the videos, so that did come out late today.
Okay. And then we got it.
and Peter, I don't know, board members, I think Peter sent you guys last month the 3 different proposals for Barrett Street. So I think,
It's not on here.
Peter, where are we at? I mean, at some point here, obviously, we have to make a decision as a board. Would that be something we'd be doing in June? Or that's too early?
We have, well, our goal is to pursue a grant, and the the synopsis of the meeting that we had with the two property owners downgrading, where there was our preferred option from a perspective of cost and what we think is fundability is what we call the open channel configuration, where we take the culvert and we daylight that out on the property, and we provide a configuration to kind of chase the property line along there. And in discussion with Seneca net development property owner, they expressed concerns with that configuration because they're looking for development of that parcel. Unfortunately, the base cost for that option is about $500,000 lower, and it also comes with it what we think is some higher grant potential. The next alternative would be essentially a box culvert across the parcel that would be a straight line buried. It would still limit development along the line, but we kind of utilize the existing property lines between the Farmer Lumber and the Seneca net to kind of extend it, so that it would help a little bit with respect to development. But I think there's certainly some big issues with respect to the cost of the project and the fundability, recognizing that there's never been easements for any part of that line, and that would need to be part of that process. Last month we talked about a meeting with the board to kind of review more detail the options. We did have a meeting with the property owners as well to kind of get their feedback, but we would want to kind of finalize the decision so we can kind of progress the project. Again, it's unfortunate because we would like to, what we think is best for the best interest of the town. There's going to be some resistance on the property owners on that option.
Right. Peter and I had a couple of people out of Peter's office had a virtual meeting with Seneca Net Development leadership, and they're not in favor of option 3 at the moment, and that hopefully will change. But so not only is it about $500,000 cheaper, it's available for a lot more grants because it's a green space type of grant because it's above the ground versus buried in the ground type of thing. So we have to figure out exactly. I'll have to get a definitive yes or no from Seneca Development or Seneca Net Development, and then we probably going to have some type of a special meeting, virtual meeting maybe, a Zoom meeting with Peter, because I think, Peter, would we be ready if we made a decision in a couple of weeks? Would you be ready for approval in June meeting?
Oh, sure, yeah, we can, sure. I mean, what we want, our next steps are, the way we have the project contemplated is, our next steps really would be going to seeker on that end, and then looking for a grant application once CFAs kick in. That time is coming soon. Right. So that would be there's a few opportunities under the conventional CFA program, and then the bigger infrastructure, well, I think all that would happen with the CFA. Any EFC funding via Green Innovation Programs, DEC funding via WQIP. So that's really the focus there on that end, what needs to happen to make those deadlines.
Okay, so I guess, do you guys want to have a virtual meeting with B&L to go over the different options with some visuals? I know Peter wrote up descriptions and so forth of option 1, 2, and 3, but I think if you want to see some visuals and so forth, we need to do that sooner than later, because we'd like to come back in June and move forward. So.
Peter, Dave, do we have anything legally that says that we're responsible for this, that's been turned over in the past and to the town or anything, or the village?
We don't have any, yeah, go ahead, Peter.
No, I think I understand Dave's question. It's a little bit hard to hear. The answer is no. There's never been any easement on. I mean, the only thing that I think is a firm responsibility is the town is responsible for that part of the culvert that they constructed back in somewhere in the 1800s that's below Baird Street. Beyond that, the culvert that's beyond that, I think the town has, as part of the project, is essentially they're accepting responsibility for it, and it's a conveyance flows from, it's a pretty critical piece of drainage infrastructure for the town on that end. And that's where it would be nice to kind of come to agreement with the property owners on what's a mutually beneficial option for all.
And Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, but once we move forward with the project, whatever option it is, Canal Corp's gonna have to take care of at least 10 to 15 feet from the canal moving south, and also at Benton Creek on the opening there too, correct? And so there has to be some coordination with Canal Corp?
Oh, correct, yeah, that's certainly with Canal Corp, we will pursue any grant opportunities with Canal Corp. There's not much, and maybe Matt can speak to that, but I mean, conventional grant funding with Canal Corp, there's not much. We just were made aware a few weeks ago regarding, with the Power Authority, some additional grant money that we're in the process of chasing down, but they will be, the objective is they would own that 10 to 15 feet of pipe. That would be their contribution, and then the inlet grip wall as well, that would be their contribution as well to the project.
Okay.
That's pretty much all they're saying they own
Right.
at this point.
Peter, are there any federal grants that are available?
Well, MRV, as our grant writer, would be pursuing everything, but there's, we've talked about this, and there's not a whole lot of,
Nothing federal?
not a whole lot. I mean, the biggest opportunity is the best opportunity for grants is option 3, because you're creating green space and so forth, and there's, significant amount of money there. But
There goes the hotel.
There's DOT funding available with option 2, that culvert. The issue with the DOT funding, that's typically a 3-year process. Under the CFA, we can submit an application and essentially have grant, we would know by year end, if we had that grant in hand, basically through the CFA. The DOT process, there's probably a comparable amount of funding. It's an extended, very formalized process that we probably would not hear late 2022 would be the best case. We probably are find out on that funding option.
So are we offering to buy that land from Seneca Knit?
I made that offer.
Right.
Made that offer.
I just can't see us taking their land and rendering it unusable.
Well, we
from a
wouldn't. I
development
mean,
standpoint.
we wouldn't with the. Wouldn't use it unusable. I mean, the buried culvert, the straight back culvert would be part of it, where the parking lot would be a potential parking lot, right? Peter, could be used for that?
Correct. Yeah, so the existing configuration or the proposed configuration, no matter what, either option, and even if you include the relining, which we don't think is a really viable, relining existing culvert, there's still going to need to be some type of easement over that property that would restrict development. With the way the property, the geometry of the property, the way it's shaped, the open channel culvert, which we think is the preferred one, we provided kind of a configuration that chases the property line. So that we thought would kind of maximize the footprint, but the reality is that kind of occupies that part of that developable. There's kind of like it's a funny shape of that eastern end. There's a little bit more area that you could conceivably put in a building there. Certainly recognizing that within the offset requirements off of each of the Park DOT right away, the our building supply, that would chew into that. It's not, so there'd be less available property. Our approach would be that we've sold this as more of a green infrastructure where our landscape architects, and then, we would sell this as an asset to the town that essentially develops the parkland type development, but certainly it chews into any footprint for a restaurant, hotel, anything like that along the canal, along the canal front. And that's kind of right now is the main point of concern between with the current property owner. That it wouldn't impede, by this additional square footage that he would have available to develop in that area.
I believe the property.
Long term,
I'm sorry. I believe the property. Don't quote me. Is assessed at $30,000, but don't quote me on that type of thing. So I have approached.
I think it's 30, 40. Yeah.
I have approached Seneca Knit Development about purchasing the property, and as I said, they're going to get back to me at some point. But obviously, if we want to move and have a decision on what option we're going to do by June, I will have to reach out and say, okay, we have to make a move here, type of thing. And
I have two things. Number one, I've heard from some folks and friends that the property that encompasses the culvert may really be, the deed might be in the hands of New York State. And I don't think that's been clarified. and I think it needs to be clarified. I think someone needs to go to the county clerk's office and do that research and come up with a definitive answer of whether it's really under the control of Seneca Falls or if it's under the control of the state.
Are we talking about the property for Seneca?
When they built the canal in 1920,
Right.
let's say, I don't know what year it was, that they changed the total configuration down there. I mean, that was my understanding, an open, dry walkway underneath that roadway, and the Canal Corp, or the New York State took ownership of it and revamped the whole area down there, as we know, created the lake, created the canal, and that property's never been properly transferred back to Seneca Falls. I've heard that. I think that needs to be vetted and find out. If that's
I know
true.
when this all started, we did an extensive deed search at Seneca County when this all started back in, I don't know.
Who did that?
I'm sorry? Oh, I had the county clerk do that, and I think, Peter, you did that also, right, on your end?
Yeah, so there's two parts. The county clerk certainly did their research, and the other part is Canals had provided us with all of their research. Effectively matched what the county clerk can. What it looks like is the Canals funded and passed a law in 1915 to provide state funds to complete that culvert configuration. What never happened was there was never a legal transfer or deed established for that culvert. That's the issue. So one of the things we talked about early on was a potential legal challenge on that basis. And I know the town had talked to, it reached out, and I think it might have been David Howe actually, because I think I remember providing him some of their information.
That's correct. That's correct.
Not a legal challenge there. I think a notice of claim has been filed, but there hasn't been anything formal beyond. There's been a claim that's been, I'm not using the correct terms, but I think they have, the town has filed a notice of claim with Canals to support potentially, any type of legal challenge.
That's correct.
And
That did happen. So I just don't, I mean, personally, I don't know how you're going to pursue a legal challenge. I think you'd be wasting a great deal of money trying to chase this down. And I don't know how long it would take to chase down, and it could be years before you chase it down, type of thing. And in the meantime, something's got to be done.
Well, the other issue I have, again,
with the records we have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm still of the mindset that canal should be drained, and we get a visual look at that culvert underneath there. I don't see how, and I would like to see an engineering report that says or explains how that water that's in that tunnel is holding up any of that stone. There's no pressure on that water to do that. So water or no water, I think whatever's there is going to be intact, stay intact, and it could be examined to determine if there's a much, much cheaper solution. Perhaps.
See, I thought we crossed this bridge 2 months ago when we
Well, we crossed the
we
bridge.
brought it up, and I think there was a board vote that we're not going to pursue another engineering opinion.
There was a board discussion that we would ask to have the canal drained. We came back a month later, and that request was never made.
Correct.
And then we heard Peter's explanation
Right.
that they determined that they feel that it's going to compromise the integrity even more and cause it to collapse.
Correct. And then I think you made a motion to pursue another engineering opinion, and I think there was no second, if I remember right, but if there was a second, it wasn't carried. So I think this is, hate to say this, but water under the bridge at the moment about draining the canal. I think we need to move on from that aspect of it, and what we're going to do, option 1, 2, or 3, okay? And try to get as much grant money as we can to pay for it.
No, option 1, 2, and 3 were presented at the last board meeting.
I'm sorry.
Option 1, 2, and 3 were in our packets at the last board meeting.
Peter provided an email to everybody about all the different options.
What's that?
I might have put it in the packet.
It's one of the analysis of cost and capital cost, and option 1, option 3 is about I think the estimate is 1.6 million. Option 2, which would be essentially the box culvert, shell box culvert that would be representative compliance that we could more readily maintain and inspect. That was about 2.1 million, and the third option, which would be relining the existing culvert. It's a capital cost only, does not take into account long-term operation and maintenance, the ability to inspect, repair as needed. That what I believe was about $2.2 million.
We need another option to buy the property.
I will approach it again and,
Well, if we
I don't know what
wanted,
to tell
if we
you.
want an open drainage ditch going through there.
You can even close it,
I mean, the open channel.
boxed. Right? It can be boxed, right?
No,
Yeah,
that's option two.
The open channel it might be beneficial to see some of the visuals. The open channel is a pretty nice design, and it's, green, and it's, landscaping and so forth. And the other thing you gotta remember is, right, I mean, the Landfill Trail is supposed to go down there, right? I mean, right through there.
Along you've got the canal trail right along the waterfront.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the same area here, you know what I'm saying? So I'm assuming that they haven't got an easement either from the homeowner or the property owners, but I'm assuming they're gonna use that 15 feet of behind the blue line, that's what they're gonna propose?
The phase that's under study now, a design study, only gets it to the western end of the sculpture trail. So the next phase, phase 3, would be the sculpture trail and
Okay, by the Women's Hall of Fame.
the only thing that's in the DRI project is something that would allow people to get from that space and from those boat docks
Over the bridge.
up to the bridge.
Okay.
That's the only thing that's at all pending, currently.
Okay.
It's not ours, and we had the
Right.
same problem with the sculpture trail and eminent domain. It's not ours, and so we're at the mercy. If we can buy it, then we can make a decision. But if they don't want to sell it, I don't see how we can force this on them.
Now you're back to an eminent domain.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to go there. But, so yes, we need a meeting, and yes, we need to see visuals before that.
Okay. You guys good with that, Steve and Dave and Don?
Yeah, but I don't know if I am good that we seem to be under the gun and feel like we gotta make a decision by June. I don't think that that's at all got it done. The road's open. I haven't noticed any settling, I haven't noticed anything, so all assumption is that it's as stable today as it was 5 years ago or the last time anybody went in there.
Could very well be, I'm not an engineer, I have no idea. So,
But,
you want to continue to kick the can down the road, or what do you want to do?
I want to do the right thing, and I want to save money doing it. And I just think the minute we start to rush it, we're not going to do that. We aren't going to make the right choice. We're just going to throw money at it, and we're going to get cost overruns, and the next thing you know, we're spending money we don't have.
Yep.
And we don't have money, so.
Well, but in agreement to see the different options at least?
Yeah,
and then-
absolutely, got to see them. I've been asking to see this stuff. I'd like to see the Bayard Street stuff as well for the sewer line. Haven't seen any of that either.
Okay, I will try to facilitate a meeting quickly, and there's something later on the evening for you to write down, so like a 6 o'clock or type of thing?
It's not on Monday.
I'm sorry?
Not on Monday.
And on Mondays? Okay, any day that ends with a Y, but other than Monday? Okay. Okay, I'll get an email out tomorrow and,
Zoom meeting.
I'm sorry?
Zoom?
Zoom.
Yeah.
WebEx, Zoom, whatever. Peter does Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, we can set Zooms up. One of the advantages of remote meetings, I'm setting up I'll send the board right now the PowerPoint that we had put together that does include kind of the conceptual visuals on what the configurations look like, and then the rendering that I know, our opinion is we think it's an enhancement, not everyone would agree, but we cover more than the ditch when we talk the open channel as far as the connection of green infrastructure. I'll send that out to the board once I'm done with my piece, so when you get home tonight, you can take a look at it.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of accepting the engineering report, say aye, please.
Aye.
So carried. I make a motion to accept the grant writing services report for the month of April. Matt Horn is online here if you have any questions. Have a second, please?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Yeah,
Real quick, Mr. Supervisor, we are currently watching for
guidance, the consolidated funding application guidance that is typically due out right about now. We anticipate we've gone through the needs assessment with all of the department leadership, identified priority projects from those conversations, and are prepared to move forward with 5 grant applications under the CFA process. Basically fall into 2 buckets. One is a kind of a DRI augmentation bucket with projects that fall into the DRI district, and so we get some higher point totals on the scoring. Those projects are all private side projects relative to Fall Street, improvements of facades, particularly on the canal side of the Fall Street building. $150,000 Canalway grant application and a $500,000 Main Street grant application. The other bucket is on infrastructure, and we are looking at the project you were just discussing, the Baird Street sewer main project. Would be pursuing the maximum. The maximums in that are $5 million or 25% of the net project cost, whichever is less. So however that shakes out, we'll certainly be active with the town and with Peter on the resolution on the design question. When we get to a final approach, we'll start developing grant application around that. And then the last project is the equalization tank project, also eligible for $5 million or 25% of net eligible costs. Looking at what they call a WIA grant, so a clean water grant project, and a water quality improvement program project. So looking like 5 applications for roughly 3 projects. In the upcoming CFAs, we anticipate that announcement coming any day now. Applications are typically due end of July. So the supervisor's point, Peter's point also about getting to your approach on these infrastructure projects being time of the essence, at least in terms of the CFA round, which will be closing later this summer. But thanks so much to the department heads, and to the supervisor for close attention, to Peter as well, for the close attention during the needs assessment. I think we came out with a great project. You're definitely ahead of the game in the region in terms of knowing what you need and getting to a good approach. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Peter. May I thank you? Doug, did you have a question?
Yeah, just going through the needs assessment, that's a big document. It would be nice at some point to be walked through it. Maybe, for me anyway, it's just, there's an awful lot in there.
Yeah, certainly.
I realize that's tough in this atmosphere.
I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
No, just, I realize that's tough in this day and age, but there's a lot to absorb in there.
No, I think certainly, Matt, you and Emily, once we get live here, I think you guys can do a presentation to keep the board informed about exactly what we've been working on for the last few months together, and the department heads, and maybe some different insights. And the department heads can also, if it's live, can offer their perspective on how we got to this point.
And even if it's not the whole thing, maybe just the top priority from each department. Because we're not going to get to the 4th or 5th choice probably, but the things that are really on the burners right now, it'd be nice to talk about these a little bit.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely. We're happy to do it. Your department has put in an incredible amount of work, and we love to showcase it.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor of accepting the report? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Other community reports, our waste management committee met virtually on, I don't know what date it is, Tuesday? We met yesterday, Doug?
Yeah, it was.
We did, okay. So Doug, if you want to, we didn't meet in April. So we got together as early in May as we possibly could, and then we're going to meet again next week virtually. So Doug, if you want to fill in the rest of the board on what that committee is working on?
Yeah, trying to work on a couple of different things. Well, I don't want to say primarily, but one big piece of it is the landfill and the landfill permit. But also looking at long-term solutions for recycling, composting, and things like that. It turned out because Kyle attended the meeting yesterday on WebEx, we ended up spending the whole time on the landfill, and it was helpful. It was a little contentious at times on his part, on our part, but I think the upshot is that by the end of it, we were looking toward meeting again perhaps next week and making some progress. I'm a little concerned whether there is progress to be made considering some of the things that he said, but we'll give it a shot.
And again, just so everybody understands, and our viewing customers as well, this is not just a landfill committee. This is an environmental committee working on all different environmental issues. And part of those issues is maybe a community-wide composting to reduce organic materials, whether it be in this landfill or the next landfill, and a more comprehensive recycling program, and reducing our footprint on our environment types of things, and looking at other environmental issues that are somehow never get brought up to light. I mean, there are other environmental issues other than the landfill that we would like to look at and have some input with people as well. So it's a more broad-based group of people in committee that we're focusing on. So it continues to go on. Okay, do I need a motion to accept communications, or we just do that?
Well, yes.
We usually accept those.
Okay, then I'm going to make a motion to accept the communications that we received. I mentioned them earlier for the most part. Second?
Second.
And discussion? All in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
That's so carried. Okay, moving on to old business. Sale of surplus property, 10 Fall Street. At our April meeting, the board decided to extend the purchase offer agreement on 10 Fall Street to June 1st. There is still some possibility that a developer is going to purchase the adjourning property and develop the area. So we extended their deadline to June 1st to come forward with the actual purchase agreement. So we'll know more at our June meeting if that's going to happen or not. Okay. If not, we have, I believe, 2 other proposals for the property, so we'll address that at our June meeting. Okay. As you remember, sale of 60 State Street, we agreed as a board to sell that property. And Pat, can you give us an update on that?
So yes, I have drafted a proposed purchase and sale contract. I forwarded over to the successful bidders, and they said that they were going to forward it to their attorney and then get back in touch. So I have been in contact with them. They have some papers in front of them for them to review, and but I have not. We haven't gotten much further than that at this point. But so it is. So we're waiting to hear back from them.
Okay, and I imagine part of the problem is due to the pandemic, the DRI committee has not been able to finalize all the projects type of thing. So we're still waiting from the state to make everything happen officially. We've gone through...
It's difficult to get anything done,
right.
And this is just one of them.
We've gone through the different proposals, and we've got it, worked out for the most part, but we've not had a final meeting or a public meeting. So hopefully that's going to happen sooner than later as well. Okay. Adopted of a procurement policy. Steve and Doug, where are we with that?
Still have been no action.
Yeah, still waiting for a live meeting. So.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to have to do here, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to start working with Frank and start working on getting this in place. It's been going on now for too long. So let's, if you don't mind, I'm going to take it over and work on it with Frank and try to come back in June with some type of proposal to to get it finalized. It's been 3 months. It's time's enough, okay?
Should Pat-
We all have computers, we all have phones. Yep, I know,
Pat be
that's gotta be
involved?
involved too. I know. I mean, business is still going on in the world, so,
Well, and we do have a procurement policy in place.
but it's an illegal one.
No,
No, it's not.
Well-
we just agreed to keep what we
But
had in place.
again, we agree, okay, so it was not, we were, I believe you made the motion not to approve the procurement policy, if I'm not mistaken.
And then we changed.
So we have one in place,
We have
but,
one, the one that's in place.
We
is-
have it in place, but I guess Frank Seneca brought up all the
right,
He's recommending
a
change.
lot of holes in it.
recommendations and changes that we
Yeah.
should do.
A lot of holes in it, so, okay. Well, I'll work with Frank and I'll bring something back to you with Pat, and I'll bring something back to you in June, okay? All right. Okay, I need a motion to accept, excuse me, a motion to renew, I want to make a motion to renew SMI license to operate the landfill. This has been on the agenda since January. Have a second, please?
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
This-
I'd have to defer to the attorney if you got a point of order.
Point of order, this has been tabled and technically it needs to be voted on to be brought back off the table for discussion
Okay,
before we can take any action on it.
okay. So help me out again, I need to
So
make a...
you could make a motion to bring it off the table
Okay,
and then it would need to be voted on by this board to be brought off the table
got it,
and put back up for discussion.
got it. Pat?
Sure, that sounds reasonable. You get, either way, it requires a motion to proceed with a discussion or consideration.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to move the renewal of the SMI license to operate landfill off the table for discussion. Could I have a second, please?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay. Discussion.
Have they done anything?
Do we have to vote to take it off the table, Steve? Or, Pat?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even before we have discussion?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
But we can discuss taking it off the table right now. I don't know why there would be discussion about that, but that's what.
So I need to take a vote to take it off the table?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to make a vote to take it off the table for discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, so that's carried 4 to 1.
One opposed.
Okay. Now I have to make a motion, Pat, to renew the license because it's off the table? Correct?
That's off the table, so if you want to take action on it, that would be the subject of the next resolution.
Okay. So I make a motion to renew the operating license or permit for SMI to operate the landfill. Can I have a second for that, please?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay. Discussion.
I'd like to move that we table it for several reasons, a couple reasons anyways. Number one, odor. We haven't addressed the issue. We haven't worked out any process with the landfill. Second, there's an issue with trucks being staged. It's brought to our attention. I mean, they stage many trucks that are unsealed for hours before the landfill closes. It's not a truck stop. That should be addressed as well. So for those purposes, I move that we table it until we can meet and discuss these issues.
I got a concern too.
Well, okay.
We have a lot of,
Did you second?
Listen,
Need a second on the table.
okay. Let's just step back, okay? And again, I don't know exactly Robert's rules of law and order and so forth. But anyway, so we're having a discussion and now there's a motion on the floor to table it without the discussion, okay?
Right.
So the discussion will stop once we vote on the motion, okay?
If his motion is seconded.
If his motion is seconded and approved, okay? So, with that, we have a motion to table the issuing of the permit. Do I have a second for that? Okay, so there's no second, so that motion has not been defeated, no second, so forget it. So now we'll continue the discussion about issuing the permit. Further discussion,
I have,
other than what Steve, I know what you just said, Don?
I have questions. Have they done anything to make us you know, think that they're trying to do better than what they were doing with the odor? I mean, have they told us any, like they're doing X, Y, and Z? Nothing.
Okay, again, no, nothing, and that was part of what Doug mentioned in our committee yesterday. And again, I had discussions with management there, and I think Doug will agree based on what Kyle said yesterday. From their perspective, they're not in violation, odor violation, okay? They had 9 complaints, odor complaints in April. They had 15 in March, okay? We pushed back saying people aren't just complaining anymore because nothing has been done over time, okay? So they're discouraged, they're frustrated, they're not making complaints. From Kyle's perspective, we don't have any data saying that there's a problem, okay? From the DEC's perspective, the DEC has not violated them for any odor issues. So they claim everything is okay, and then obviously we have people in our community and community residents who say it's not okay, okay? I don't get the feeling that they're gonna all of a sudden do A, B, C, and D, okay, just because we'd like them to.
So how do we push their hand to make them do something to make people believe that they're really gonna stand by what they're saying?
And again,
With
I'm not promoting this, but I'm not promoting this.
That's all we have.
Okay, not promoting this, but you could sit down with them, and they would love to sit down and open up the host agreement again, and do, now we say that all these things have to be taken care of, okay? And obviously we know what's going to be there. But the other thing is that, okay, we're at a standstill. We say it's this way, they say it's that way, and anytime you have a dispute between two parties, it's going to be some judge is going to make the decision. And some judge will ultimately make the decision if SMI is in violation of the host agreement and our codes, our zoning, or our codes for owner that was mentioned in Val Samlis's thing. It's ultimately going to come down to that, okay?
No, well, they are.
I can't understand.
People in this town feel they are. I mean, that's what we're hearing. We're hearing it from the Bonadents. We're hearing it from Waterloo Container. We're hearing it from so many people. Now, granted, they pass money around like it's cocaine, and half the town's addicted. We get that. We're addicted, right? We get that tremendous amount of money. But the problem is, he talks about opening the host benefit agreement. That means open it up and let them continue to dump till 2035, 45. 55, 65, forever.
We don't have to approve that.
Well, we've got to start somewhere to tell them that, look, we have a law in the books
I understand
that says it's closing in 2025. They don't want to hear that, okay? They aren't going to do anything about the odor. The only leverage we have is this operating permit. It's not a huge lever. And granted, they're now threatening us because we haven't approved it. And they even misstated that it's always been approved, and that was a lie. In 2016, it was not approved from August till the following January in 2017. They make up stories, they scare people, they intimidate this town, and it's time it ends. We don't want to renew this. We want to, at the very least, table it, keep the pressure on them. We can just vote it right down. I think that personally that might bring some more liability on us. I think we'd be far better off if we table it right now, meet with Pat, discuss it some more, figure out if we've got some options here.
I can't understand
That's my 2 cents.
going to the VA in Canandaigua and coming back and smelling Casellas.
Terrible.
Okay? And a few days later, they're cited by the DEC. Okay, yeah, okay, I smelled it. Down here, what is the DEC doing down here? They're going by, well, we're going to get 9 reports or whatever. Now, with all this coronavirus stuff, you got stuff coming out of New York City, and it's getting dumped. How do we know it's not even in that, one of these loads is going to infiltrate our air up here?
Well, say one of
By
them
containment.
say one of them dumps on Fall Street like it did 10 years ago, right at the turn, right coming over the bridge, dumps downtown. Loaded with God only knows what.
I think we're talking bigger issues.
We are talking bigger issues, but So
That
we
is a
should
big
be talking
issue.
All right, guys,
Coronavirus now, yes.
Yeah,
That's New York City garbage.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm not.
Today's point, we should get
I
the
agree
DEC
100% with you. 100% I agree with you, okay? I'm not a scientist. I don't know if garbage coming from New York City over a course of a day would have still I don't know that. But here, folks, you have a contract, okay? You have a contract. So I don't know what the answer
And they're
is.
violating the contract.
According to us.
According to a lot of people, correct, and businesses.
Okay.
And we all know it's true, we've all smelled it.
I agree 100% with you.
Then what
okay?
do we do? What do you suggest we do? They're in violation, so why should we?
I suggest you take a vote.
But you voted on renewing that permit every single month.
Well, you have to, because according,
We
right,
don't
Nikki?
have to. If we had to, it wouldn't be in front of us, it would just be done. We have a choice here, Mike. We have a choice
What's the choice?
to approve it or not approve it.
Okay, let's vote and approve it or not.
But I'm
Which
asking
we've
you,
done every month.
I'm asking you why you've approved it every single month. Based on
Why
what?
I approved it?
Based on what?
Okay.
You know my stance.
And I made my stance public forever.
What is it?
My stance, I'll repeat it one more time.
Okay.
Okay? My stance is that by me voting to approve the annual permit has nothing to do with my favoring extending the landfill past 2025. I am 100% in favor of local law 3 in closing the landfill in 2025, okay?
What about the odor?
Can I finish? You asked me and I'm gonna finish now, okay? I 100% agree with local law number 3, all right? I personally don't think by not giving them a permit on a yearly basis, which is part of the host agreement, that it's gonna accomplish anything other than cost the town of Seneca Falls residents money in legal fees. I'm not intimidated by SMI, but what I'm saying is they're not going to negotiate anything. So we say this, they say that, some judge is going to make a decision. That's fine with me. I'm 100% in favor. You want a judge to make the decision, that's fine. That's the only reason why I vote every month to approve it. And I'll vote tonight to approve it. It has nothing to do with local law number 3. Okay? Question?
I didn't say it did have to do with local law.
Well, you want to know my stance? It's been my stance from day one. When I ran for town supervisor, I ran because, and I said every time, my goal is to start preparing the town for the closure of Seneca Meadows, okay? We need to start preparing. If it's 5 years, we need to start making decisions to how we're going to substitute money, how we're going to do capital improvement projects, what are we going to start cutting? Are we going to cut this? Are we going to cut Parks and Recreation? Eventually, you're going to have to make cuts. You're going to cut personnel, okay? We need to start making those hard decisions now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree 100%.
That's the only thing I've ever said.
But what are we going to do about the odor now? What can we do? What?
I don't know what we can do other than the fact that let some judge decide, and I'll continue to talk to Kyle. Again, the waste management team is beginning to talk, or had discussions. Kyle's going to be invited again next week. But as Doug said, based on the feeling we got yesterday, I don't know if that's going to happen. Doug, did you get a different feeling?
A couple of things. First of all, the fact that Ontario County got cited and Seneca Meadows didn't. The problem is that the DEC relies on the very figures that Seneca Meadows sends them to determine whether they're in compliance or not. So it goes back to that odor reporting system. And we're not in agreement as to what that should be. But my concern about yesterday was there was a couple of things that Kyle said. He basically told us 3 things that concern me. One is that he just shrugged his shoulders and says the landfills stink, which basically says to me, we're expected to just live with it. He said that the reason for the host community agreement payments is basically to reimburse us for all the inconvenience, unpleasantry, and so on of having the landfill. So it's like, we pay you, shut up.
Right.
And then the third thing is, at one point, Mike asked him, you know, is there anything you can do? Because we were talking about the fact that the odors fluctuate. Some years they're good, sometimes they're not so good. They were bad, they got better, now they're bad again. And basically, I mean, he said outright, we've done what we're willing to do.
So they're not willing to do anything else?
It's like I said.
That's what he said yesterday. I mean, those are the three things that concern me the most, and he said those three things outright. Landfills stink, we pay you to live with it, and we've done all we're going to do. He didn't say we've done all we can do. He said we've done all we're going to do. So,
But he also said that if we bring to him what our legitimate issues are, specifically data-driven, okay, as far as why we won't renew the permit, then he will address those once we submit officially the issues, okay? Not somebody getting up in a meeting or writing a letter saying it stinks. That's not official data, okay? So he did say once a formal complaint has been made by the town, which hasn't been made officially, then he would try to address that. I'm not guaranteeing that anything would happen, I'm just saying he did put that out there.
that's what I meant by, you know, yesterday ended more hopefully than it began, but I'm still skeptical.
So what happened years ago when they didn't have any smell, and all of a sudden this started and got these people all riled up? I mean, it wasn't smelling for years.
Well, Dave, it was a much smaller landfill for years, much smaller, okay? Look, I didn't write the host agreement. I didn't make this agreement, okay? Trust me, I had nothing to do with it.
It's kind of ironic though that they use the term that we need to produce official data, when for years they've had a process where they send out somebody, they stick their nose into the air and say, it doesn't stink. That's an official process? You gotta be kidding me.
Dave, or Steve, somebody who was on
That's
the board,
enough for the DEC?
Steve, 4 people who were on the board in 2017, at least 3 of those people agreed, 2007, agreed to those conditions. Somebody agreed to that. You have a written contract.
Yeah,
Okay?
that says they can't violate?
And you just said it was a much smaller landfill.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
basically, the community is reaching its breaking point on this
Absolutely.
issue. So
Absolutely.
this is the one place where we can exercise some authority and try to force some
That's
action.
all we got.
Okay, but again, just so everyone's prepared, I'm assuming, I can't, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm assuming it'll go into the court at some point. Would you agree with that?
We're always in court with them. We've been in court with them for 10, 15 years.
I mean, courts on this not issuing the permit. Yeah,
We're
okay.
getting to the meat and potatoes.
But at the same token, I started in January with a request. Would you do this? And it's a fairly simple request. In the grand scheme of permits in Local Law 3, creating an odor monitoring system that people can have faith in is a pretty simple request. You're right, it does, I said yesterday, it doesn't say in the host community agreement that the odor reporting system that's in place has to be honest, has to be transparent, but there has to be that assumption. And Kyle is basically telling us, this is what we're doing, it got us 9 complaints last month, we're sticking with that.
Well, and I would argue that we shouldn't look to the landfill to create any new process. We should create it. This town board should create it. We should work maybe with the DEC, we should get input from other entities, scientists, academics, I don't care, but we should create a process totally independent of them, and a process that maybe the DEC approves. We don't need the landfill's approval in getting a process that tells us when it stinks and when it doesn't. Now, I know they think we do, because they think we can't tell the difference between landfill odor and a fireplace burning and cow manure, because they think we're all ignorant. We've only lived here our entire lives, and we don't know what a landfill smells like. It's insulting, it really is, and we hear it over and over from people, and yeah, the buck stops here. This board, we have to take action. That's all we have.
And we've taken action, okay?
And we're gonna,
And we'll continue to take action. Again,
So
we can continue to do this.
it may be that we have to create our own system.
We
You know,
do have to
asked the
create our
county
own
to do it,
system.
the county wouldn't do it. we've talked about doing it before, and the votes weren't there. So maybe it is, but if so, somehow, this has got to be, the figures that it generates, this has got to be what goes to the DEC, because he can't continue sending his 9 complaints in a month. And
So
saying,
how do you want to
"No."
proceed as far as developing a process, okay? And again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a scientist. So let's just say we develop this process. And how do we get SMI to agree to this new process?
We don't need to get SMI.
We don't need to.
No, do we, really?
I don't know, Steve.
No, we the people of this.
Again, I'm going back to the host agreement and a
We
contract.
the people of this town, now, like I say, I think it probably would be benefit us if we get the DEC to approve. Yeah, that makes sense. That data would give us information that we need. You know, get DEC buy-in, definitely. But not the landfill. I mean, they're never, right? They come up now and don't. So no, we don't need them at the table. Now, I offered last month that Doug and I and Pat get together to start to discuss what it might look like to formulate that thing. But all of us can get together. But that's what we should do. We should look at and start to investigate what it takes. There's other landfills around this country that have closed, and there's other. I mean, Freshkill down in Staten Island, New York City, tremendous battle. It was the largest landfill in New York State at the time. And they closed it. Well, we should.
Well, they closed it because they went on base. They went on bear spray.
Yeah, they closed it for a lot.
Let's. So I just heard you say again. So you and Doug and Pat are going to get down together and start the initial conversation.
I offered that last month. You said you were going to set up a committee.
He did. He set it up with us. We dropped the ball.
So I'm setting up the committee again, that you guys can sit down with Pat and start having initial discussions about a process, okay? And you might have to bring in other people, I don't know, okay? And then once we get to some some ideas, conceptual ideas, and then the whole board can sit down and we'll listen and talk and move forward. Again, I don't have any problems with that, not at all, okay?
And until then, I'm going to offer that we table that again one more time. I'll make a motion that we table it. I think that's the right thing to do, because the only other option is to vote it right down, and I don't feel comfortable.
What's the difference of voting it down or tabling it? I'm confused.
Well, Pat?
One is saying no, and one is saying not now.
Mike, if I could chime in.
Yeah, let's let Pat.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thanks. If you're gonna table it, then it carries forward and you can take it off the table next month, and it's not a definitive action. It just continues. If you deny it, okay, and you reject their permit application, then that's a definitive action. If you are going to deny it, there should be some type of factual basis established as a reason for denying it. And that, should be somewhere within the existing permit. They didn't meet the standard. If that is the road that the town board wants to go down, there should be some kind of factual showing of why this is being done, and that could take the form of a bucket hearing, and we present facts. They would be given Seneca members would be given the chance to present their case, either rebut those facts or show other facts, whatever. But a record would be created in order to substantiate the action being taken by the town board. But if the board wants to keep it open, maybe there's some way to change the existing odor reporting system, which maybe there's a problem with it, I don't know. But if we're going to make a proposal to say, okay, if we can change this reporting system, maybe have more testing, I don't know, the violations with the Ontario County permit was, the landfill was brought up, have those issues being looked into within landfill. What are the numbers? What does it show? We can require things like that and condition the next permit on that. That would be making a proposal, and yes, that would require an agreement since we're talking about the host community agreement, the host community agreement does have in it, that if the town wants to modify the permit in a way that is not consistent with the DEC's regulation of the facility, then Seneca Meadows may opt out and terminate the agreement. And, you know, that's a whole other ball of wax with the host community agreement payments going into escrow and being subject to, you know, as you said, it's going to be determined by a judge at some point. But at this point, we're not there yet. If we want to try to work out some type of arrangement, whether it's a reporting system or more testing or what have you, you know, let's sit down and investigate that first before going down the other road of getting a factual record together to take definitive action on it.
And there is a provision in the host agreement that encourages open mediation between the town and SMI to try to remedy some issues before. So again, I'm going to recommend that Doug and Steve and yourself, Pat, get together, start putting some stuff together. I know, Pat, you rendered this opinion a month and a half ago to the board, but continue with the same opinion, and now it's time for action. You need to get going. And on the same thing, okay, I get a lot of phone calls and a lot of communication with people who are not opposed to the landfill, okay? And businesses.
Oh, I know a lot.
And businesses.
Ton of them.
Okay?
That's the money at work.
Whatever it is, Steve, I'm just saying, and businesses. So there's two sides to every story, that's all.
But are these people that say it's a great idea that we bring 12 million pounds of New York City garbage to our town
No,
today?
everybody I talked to...
They like the money.
No, everybody I talked to said, I wish the landfill wasn't here.
Right.
Everybody says that.
Right.
Everybody you talk to, I wish the landfill wasn't here.
So it's the money.
Well, but since it is here, they feel that why not take advantage of the situation?
Right.
Well, is it money? Sure. Does it generate business? It's one of the biggest businesses in the county. So it generates business, it generates revenue. There's a lot of other businesses that, you know, subsidiary businesses that are working, make money off it. You know what I'm saying?
And there may be a lot of businesses that haven't come here because of the landfill, and we don't know.
I don't know that.
We'll never know.
I have no
right?
idea. I know Deer Run Industrial Park has sat out there for 45 years. I know that. And there's one business in there now.
But we do know
that does business with the landfill.
We do know Bonadent has trouble attracting professionals to move in the area because of the landfill.
Negative impact on Bonadent. 100% agreeable. 100%. Negative impact on water container. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Okay? But one would argue...
Two of our biggest employers.
One would argue 414 Corridor has never been more developed, right? Never been more developed than it is right now.
Because the smell wasn't back then those years.
Steve,
it was small.
Doug, I'm talking about just recently. There's more businesses on 414 than there ever has been. So one could make that argument, right? One could make the argument Waterloo Container just made a major expansion. Why? Why? The landfill's there. Why? Okay? It definitely has a negative impact on businesses. 100% agree. 100%. And again, I'll say it one more time. I wish it wasn't there. I really do. Okay? But I'm an environmentalist too. I want to worry about where's my garbage going to go now. That's what I want to start working on. Where is it going to go? Okay? How can I reduce my footprint? How can I compost as a community? Okay? Because closing the landfill is not an environmentalist. That's just picking your garbage up and moving it to the next community. That's all we're doing. I want to have an environmental impact on our community. That's what I want.
That's the DEC's Beyond Waste. It's online. They wrote it 10 years ago, and they've done nothing to implement it. Beyond Waste. They were supposed to get us to 90% less garbage going into landfills. by now.
And
I think it was by 2020.
unfortunately, this pandemic,
Right, so it's
there's a lot less things that are going to be
Well,
happening.
no, it has nothing to do with the pandemic. They haven't done anything. They wrote a plan 10 years ago and have done nothing. But we have to depend on the state.
How long were you on the county board?
8 years.
And for 8 years, they've been asked to develop a solid waste management plan for the county. And
That's
for
correct.
8 years you were on the board,
That's correct.
never happened.
That's correct. Wasn't under my committee.
Oh, okay. You're on the board, but it's not your committee, so you don't have any responsibility. Perfect.
Well,
Okay. Yeah, what's our option here? Tabling it or?
Evidently, you don't know how the county board works yet.
It's going to be carried forward, so I would suggest just tabling it.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll second this motion to
In the
table.
meantime, as going forward, we're going to be trying to put something together on this. I would like the ability to speak to both our engineers at Barton Judas as well as David Howe.
You have our blessing. Just tell them it's FOC, okay?
I have a little problem working with Barton LaJudas on this issue in regards that Don Gentleport works for Barton LaJudas. So there may be a little conflict of interest.
He doesn't work there anymore.
He does not work there anymore?
I think, be careful on throwing names out and so forth, okay?
Well, Don Gentleport-
We're in a public meeting.
Doesn't work.
Be careful. Just be careful, okay?
I'm almost certain.
I think that was public knowledge, to be
I
honest
think
with you.
so.
I didn't know about it, so it can't be that public.
Well, how did I find out about it? I'm not.
I don't know.
Not a friend of mine.
Okay, so,
Yes, Peter.
can we, before we go to that,
Well,
we have a motion on the floor to table the issue of the permit. Can I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. No. So it's tabled 4-1,
4-1.
okay?
Okay.
Now, a different issue, Steve. Again, maybe you and Doug and Pat meet prior, okay? That brings, bring in another engineering firm, you guys, see what you want to do there, okay? Okay. Thanks, Pat. You caught my FOC, huh?
Yes, I don't know if they did. I don't know if Peter did that.
All right.
Okay.
Under old business, approved purchase agreement with Dataprise for fireware software and remote server backup. Steve, where are we with
All
that?
right, well, I met with Bob LaFrey, came to my office, we spent about an hour together discussing this. First of all, it's not an imperative that we get this done today or tomorrow, okay? None of the environment's at risk. We both agreed that the backup solution was, first of all, one neither one of us understand, and it's extremely costly. We're probably way over cost at $1,200 a month. So we were looking at other solutions for that, and one that the county could support. He didn't have any problem with implementing. Backup solutions are, they're a dime a dozen, to be honest with you. But the environment is currently protected. I would like to understand the environment a little bit more, and I think Bob would like to understand the environment a little more, so we have agreed to work together on doing that. But at this point in time, we don't have anything finalized. But we're not at risk.
So the backup is not important. My understanding, we have a 3-day backup right now?
Well, there's backup in place. There's also redundancy in the storage. They have a large storage appliance in there, very large. So there's redundancy built into that protects your data. So yeah, no, we're okay right now.
It's like everything else in this building, in this town. Everything is over-engineered and overpriced. Storage, telephone system is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just one thing after another. It's just people spending a lot of money that, anyway. But anyway, so
we're working. It's in progress. Bob and I'll get back together. Maybe Jason and I will meet here and go through it.
Okay, and then on a side note there, the county has hired the person dedicated for Seneca Falls. Okay, and I met him today, and I'm going to tell you I forgot his last name. His first name is Jim, but I forgot his last name. anyway, but he was here for a while, and he'll be here on a regular basis as soon as he gets acclimated at the county as well, and he'll be the in-house person to go to at the county, finally, after.
So we don't need to do anything with this?
No.
Just, all right, okay. We first heard about this from Data Price when Dave and I were trying to fill in at the end of last year, and we sort of held them off until we got a solution on
And we were really,
I'm glad
honestly,
this-
we were really surprised. I mean, Stoneboat built, the data closet, data room, whatever, in 2017. We put a new firewall in there at that point in time, brand new 2017. Normally a firewall is good for 5-10 years. The one that's in there now replaced the one that we put in 2017. So evidently Marshall, somehow somebody determined that we needed a new firewall. It's kind of crazy, but.
So I'm not surprised this isn't something we need or the best way to move forward, and I'm relieved that there are people that are here who can.
We want to do the right solution, so we want to take the time to really understand the environmental impact.
Okay. All right.
So we just take this off the agenda?
So I need a motion to table that, Mickey, or take it off altogether?
We're not tabling it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it right off, right? Pat, I can make a motion
On
to
table or?
No, just remove it.
remove it.
If there has not been a motion made and seconded to take action on it,
Right.
you don't need to do anything. You
Okay.
just move on.
All right.
So we
There
just
hasn't
take
been.
it off the agenda?
Yeah.
Yep, okay, so just move on to the agenda.
Thank you. I'm going to make a motion to close Vince's Park's operation for the 2020 calendar year for a variety of reasons, but we can go into those in discussion. Can I have a second for the motion?
Second.
Okay, discussion. I just think in our need to save as much money as we can, some people say, well, $170,000 is not that much. I disagree. I think more than that is the pandemic. How much is it going to be used? How much, socializing can happen? I think there's just way too many unknowns. And, some parties have already canceled, some have tried to reschedule. We don't know exactly if you did open, and, most restaurants are going to probably have to open up at 50% occupancy. Who's going to monitor it? Who's liable? Et cetera, et cetera. That is the basis of my motion. I just think there's too many unknowns. Besides, I'd like to save as much money as possible moving forward, because as I said back in April, I think the ripple effect of this pandemic is going to be massive in all levels. Federal, state, county, town, school districts, and I think our taxpayers are going to get hit and hit hard. So that's my rationale. Further discussion.
Well, we need to maintain it, correct? We just can't.
Gonna move along.
We aren't gonna mothball it. That's your
No.
proposal is not to mothball.
No, 2020.
Just to.
And we're mowing along now. We
Well,
gotta
yeah,
mow-
but
mow
it's not
along.
just that.
And there's some other stuff out that needs to be done out there, and
and
some trees gotta be cut and so forth.
I mean, whatever the maintenance is, to keep
Right.
the pool so that we don't, in 2021, if we decide to open it, we find that the pool needs
Right.
$50,000 worth of renovations.
Right.
So we need to maintain it at essentially an operating level. We just aren't going to we aren't gonna have personnel there running it, but we need to maintain it. I understand your argument, and I think you make a good argument. I mean, the pandemic certainly changes the complexion of everything. I don't see it going away real soon. So yeah, I think events out there are probably not gonna happen over the summer months anyway.
Yeah, if events are able to happen, there's other venues, different groups, American Legion, SMS, Elks Clubs, who, are hurting financially based on this pandemic. I mean, there's other options for people to, rent a facility to have some type of a party.
I know our granddaughters took part in swimming
Can I interject?
Sure.
lessons every year.
See, so I do know that, this late in the game, it is hard to get some of those other venues I'm just wondering, can we just, kind of wait and see? I mean, I know that, some of the, most of the parties are less than what our, capacity is out there. If the governor, they release something, come July that says half capacity, many parties are under the half capacity of 150, I think we could 150 in that room, and so it'll be down to 75. Many parties, both are under that. Maybe we can take it at, a week by week basis rather than just automatically, just tell everybody to cancel and refund their money through August, because there are a lot of parties. I know if somehow they are releasing groups of, smaller than 50 or 75, there might be some people that would, still want to have their party. So, I know where you're going, I understand it, but I just think, just knowing how popular that place is and how hard it is to get parties, or get reservations other places at this late in the game, and we really may be putting, putting the people that have already booked it in a bad position. That's just my opinion.
Well, I don't know, I disagree with you, it's hard to get places. I mean, this is a big-time conflict of interest, but I'll say it anyway. Seneca Falls Country Club is wide open. I got all kinds of dates if anybody's interested. But anyway, that's just a joke. The bottom line is, I think it becomes more of a staffing issue. It becomes more of a management issue. Somebody's going to have to book the party, unbook the party, give back refunds, ungive back. And I think, again, my perspective, if we make a decision tonight, then it gives people an opportunity to find other venues for their party.
What if we close the pool tonight and hold off on the other parts of it until after we hear from the governor on the 15th? To me, I think the pool is a no-brainer. I think we need to.
The staffing's not an issue because, people use it throughout the year anyways without a staffing issue other than my regular staff checking it on Monday and making it prepared on Friday. And they have to be out there anyways doing mowing and garbage and that kind of stuff. People are going to still use those pole barns informally, which means we will end up, having people who have a nice day in the middle of July go out there anyway and want to use those pole barns. We won't have staff to keep us from doing that, and so we have to have the garbage, all that kind of thing anyway. So
they're not going to use it if it's closed. I mean, they can't use it if it's closed. I mean, yeah, it's got to be enforced, obviously. But again, part of my problem is, okay, there's going to be a whole new set of standards that it's going to be labor intensive, that every time there's a party, the entire facility is going to have to be sanitized and cleaned thoroughly, not just wiping the counters down, okay? It's going to be a much more intensive ordeal to clean the facility. And I think it puts the town in a liability that is unnecessary at this point in time. But again, that's just my opinion. So
I'm just thinking.
That's fair. Whatever the board wants to do, I will obviously follow along and do my part.
Yep. What's that, Dave?
I was thinking we were going to end up doing scenario number 3 that Jim had down, which was to close the pool, allow rental of the pavilion and shelters, and scenario 2, just do the cuts for the roof and parking lot and picnic tables and all that.
Well,
now you're saying with the sanitizing,
yeah.
We don't know.
And I'm not opposed to amending my motion. I will amend my motion to close down Vince's Park, the pool for the remainder, or for the 2020 season, and wait until we get recommendations from the governor as far as opening up types of,
Events.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, close the pool and go underneath the scenario number 3 that Jim had.
Well, again, if I'm going to amend my motion, I'm not going to amend it for the whole year. I'll amend it until I hear from the governor.
Right.
That's what I'll amend it.
I think that's fair. I do.
Okay, if that's a motion, I would second that.
Okay, so Nikki, did you get that motion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, so
Thank
carried.
you.
Okay, I know Steve, you reached out to the Performing Arts Group with our offer. Steve Beals came back and accepted that, I believe. And Pat, you were working on finalizing that. Any update on that?
No, other than
other than, I'll get something to them here shortly. And, we just talked about this just the other day, so I haven't got a formal, letter out to them. But otherwise, the terms were ultimately 3,000 in satisfaction.
Correct. And again,
Okay.
they can't do anything with their DRI proposal unless we release that. So sooner than later, okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. 115 Fall Street, we talked about that at April meeting and agreed to either possibly sell that or lease that. At that time, we had a prospective interested party in leasing it. That prospective party has bought their own property. They bought the old Miners Library. But we also agreed that back then that we'd still sell it or lease it, preferably sell it, because we don't want to be in the real estate business. So I've gone forward with that. I've had it appraised. It's going to be listed within the next week, type of thing. And I'll let you know via email what that's going to be. I don't know what the price is. And I said that it's in the process of being appraised. There was an appraisal done on it 4 years ago, type of thing. It's not being appraised. Not officially appraised. It's just being listed by a real estate. But it's just. I was in there, and I don't know if anybody's been in there or not. I know, Doug, you've been. It's a very nice piece of real estate. It's 4,500 square feet. Okay, it's a little upsetting that it was formerly the village visitor center. The village received a grant to buy that originally, and then the village planner was located there. But apparently, when the village and the town merged, the village planner, whatever happened, basically looks like somebody just literally got up one day and walked out the door. There's literally a cup of coffee, half a cup of coffee on the table. All kinds of records that should be moved from there to our record storage on 10 Fall Street. There are 3 active phone lines. They've been active for 10 years. Okay, paying the bills.
I don't know how we're paying those bills, because I get the bills.
And plus we pay $6,000 a year for a condo fee. $6,000. So it's something that needs to be done, and hopefully we can get a purchaser for that property, so forth. Yes, ma'am?
Now, realtor's looking at it,
Correct.
the board has to approve that.
Yeah,
Okay.
for true.
And we also discussed that it was assessed at one point in time, or appraised?
Yes, I
Was
have-
appraised, I think, 3 years ago.
3 years
I think,
ago.
or 4 years ago, something like that.
117,000.
And then they tried to sell it, and then there was no
Nothing
purchase.
happened.
Nothing
Nobody
happened.
bid on it.
And it might not, it might happen again, especially now, Not the greatest time in the world to be trying to sell a piece of property.
Nope.
Okay? Yep. Okay, I just wanted to update you on that little,
I don't know if I want it, but.
Okay, moving on to new business. Approval of special events. We had 2 special events requests. I make a motion that we accept the special events request. Have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
And it's both going to be pending. whatever
Both are
comes up
pending
with
what's happening in life.
happening
Yep.
in life down the road.
Actually, Mike, and the car show actually did submit their insurance already. That is included.
Yep, I have that. Yep.
Yep. The music in the park, their insurance is pending. They're waiting for their new insurance year.
Okay. And these are both events that have happened in the past, right,
Yeah.
Jim?
That's correct.
Yeah.
The music in the park series was supposed to happen in June. They were going to move it to just June, but now they're pushing it back to July given the situation. They want to make sure that they can have that now. So they asked if we can just change your date to July.
Got it. Okay. Any further discussion?
No, I can see with
Also,
the,
Mike, can I announce also, you and I spoke about it, but thanks to Doug Falk PD Chief and Sergeant Gentile, we were able to streamline that process by getting it electronically available, and I did contact Jim for the groping, he's gonna get it on the website, and so now people will be able to get it through email or through online, fill it out electronically, and get it back to us. It should help an awful lot with the process.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much for facilitating that. Doug, you were going to say?
Yeah, just an observation. I can see with the music in the park, I can see how people can be encouraged to stay separate and still enjoy the concert. I love that car show, but I'm skeptical that that's going to fly. It's
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Make a motion to waive a 30-day notification requirement for a liquor license. Have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion. You have that paperwork in your packet?
23 Bridge Street.
Is that Antonina's? I meant to look.
That's the old
It
entry.
is, I think it is.
Okay. Any discussion?
I don't know that I've been on board when we've done this before. Is this standard?
Okay.
They have to do it by law.
Yes, well, once in a while, we get a request that when they apply for a liquor license or renew it, they have to notify the town that they are doing that.
Right, okay.
And they have a 30-day waiting period. Sometimes when they're in a hurry to get it or whatever, that's what that's all about. They would like that 30-day waiting period.
So it just eliminates our waiting period
And
and
yes.
moves it on to,
We did that for
And it goes
Barclays
to that.
and
We did it for
Sequester.
Barclays, right.
Sequester down.
okay, Barclays.
And
I
outside.
must have been here for Barclays and I don't remember. Okay.
Okay. So
It just
all it is
expedites
is
the
just a
process for
motion
them.
Sure.
Everything.
So that they don't have
Okay,
to.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Make a motion to purchase a recorded phone line for the Seneca Falls Police Department. The next 3 items was stopped based on our 30-day freeze on purchases. That 30 days has subsided. So the phone lines for the Seneca Falls Police Department. Chief Kinstra, just a quick update on what that was about originally.
Yeah, so that was in our old building at 60 State Street, we always had recorded phone lines that would protect our department as well as anyone calling in, plus at times we would use those recordings as evidence in some sort of trial. Since our move, the phone lines were unable to be recorded or couldn't really figure out how to do that. The county's figured out a way of doing that with our current provider, and that would allow us to have up to 5 recorded phone lines. It's the minimum package. We don't actually need 5 recorded phone lines, so another part of the municipality would like one of those. I'm sure that could be utilized over there as well.
Okay. So, I'm in a motion to accept purchase the recorded phone lines for Seneca Falls Police Department. A second?
I'll second it.
Second.
At a cost of $4,576.80.
Is that per year cost?
No.
That's
One
a
time?
one-time thing, wasn't it, Stu?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one time. I think there was a small software assurance plan. It looks like it's about $316 maybe a year, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to ask Rob LaPre that, but it looks like about $316 a year for like a software package.
Okay. All right.
To me, it seems like a no-brainer. It's something we clearly should have. Surprised that we haven't had it before this.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Make a motion that we purchase a highway auger drill unit. Have a second, please.
I'll second it.
And again, this was up in April. We put a freeze on. Jim, you want a brief description, please?
Yes, Mike, we use this attachment for, it's a cemetery lot for cremations. This attachment was the old village attachment probably a little over 20 years old, and it's in rough shape. So we need to replace that, and we use it for putting poles in and stuff like that also.
And this was a budgeted item?
Yes.
Yes, it was, Steve.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
It's also
I'm sorry.
under New York State. It's also under New York State contract, Mike.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I make a motion that we purchase purchase a hydraulic breaker for the highway department. We have a second, please?
Second.
Second. And again, this was up in April, we put a freeze on it. And I want to apologize to the highway department and the highway department superintendent. I completely spoke out of ignorance last month. I want to make sure, I made the statement, I think, that we don't fix roads, we don't pave them, etc., that we subcontract that out, which is partially true, but our people do a lot of the prep work and so forth, getting ready for the paving, which keeps the price of the contract down. So I want to apologize, Jim, and to the rest of the highway department for that ignorant statement on my part. Okay? With that, Jim, you want to give a background on the hydraulic breaker? Hydraulic breaker.
Yes, Mike, I want to thank you for that statement. And also the hydraulic breaker, that is also another piece of attachment that we use. Over 20 years old, it was a village attachment. We do a lot of catch basins with that. Jackhammer and them out, we've got a lot of them this year coming up that we need to get done, and that is in dire need to be replaced.
Discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The price.
That's carried. I'm going to add a, Nikki, I hope you don't mind, but I got to add a double E, is that all right? You want me to add an L?
Double E.
It's related to
Just,
highway.
Anywhere you want to put it.
Okay, I'm sorry. It just happened today. So
Yeah, that's
I make a motion that we replace the boiler at the highway department based on the lowest of 3 bids. Have a second, please.
Second.
Second.
Okay, just to give you an update, the boiler's been down, been repaired, down. It's been deemed down and out now. It's down for the 10 count. It needs to be replaced. I had Jim get 3 quotes. He's received 2 of them. He's working on the 3rd one. But I'd like your permission to, once we secure the lowest bid, that we go ahead and do the work. I think, I don't know. I think one quote, Jim, was 95 or something, and without mentioning names at this moment, about 95, but that was replacing the hot water maker too, right? I think.
That is correct. It was around 95, yeah.
Okay. So I think we don't have to, what's over there is a boiler, obviously, and something called a hot water maker,
Yeah.
which is a difference between a hot water heater. It's heated by obviously the boiler. And the hot water maker, I don't think needs to be replaced. So it's not going to be in the 9,500 range. Okay, it'll be lower than that. Okay. So,
How old's your, the hot water heater you're saying is intact?
yeah.
Got
yeah.
some life left
They
in it?
have hot water?
I'm sorry?
They have hot water?
Right now they don't.
They don't.
Right now they don't.
It's almost summertime, they don't need heat, they don't.
Well, they have to wash their hands.
That's the problem, yeah. And that's why we want to get this on the agenda
Sanitize,
and
get it more and more.
get it done ASAP, because they're not able to wash their hands right now.
Yeah.
And this is not the right time to be not washing
The
their
hot water
hands.
tank isn't working.
Right.
The hot water maker is connected to the boiler, so if the boiler doesn't work, the hot water maker doesn't work.
So we're not sure if the hot water maker works too.
No, the
We're
boiler,
pretty sure
the
the hot
boiler ain't
water
working,
works.
the hot water is not working.
But once the
Boiler's
boiler's
gotta work.
replaced, the hot water should work.
Yeah. that water maker, two separate entities.
Can we?
Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, I believe the mixer is working. The reason that was installed, I believe, is because we have in-store heat and air, and they needed the extra power for that.
Okay. Which makes
That's why
sense.
that mixer was,
Right, which makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
Can we approve it this way?
Pat, can we approve it this way?
And normally we sit and open bids and.
Pat, were you taking a nap or having dinner or what? What's going on?
Sorry about that, I muted it.
Were we off the clock? Were we off the clock right now?
He got tired of listening.
Hey, because I'm not talking, doesn't mean I'm not listening. When you get the third quote in, you'll be in compliance with the procurement policy, and then you can go with the lowest one. As long as you follow the policy, you're fine. It's not over the threshold that it would require sealed bids. So it's strictly under the procurement policy.
So we can pass this motion as I made it, and then we're all good to go once we get it and have it fixed, correct?
Yes, as you made it, that when the third one comes in, you go with the lowest one, consistent with policy.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Just an FYI, as I mentioned earlier, the leaf and brush pickup May 18th, 1 day only, maybe day and a half, but we strongly encourage our community residents to put your stuff out on Sunday to ensure that it will be picked up, okay? And again, it's just brush, it's not appliances or garbage or anything like that. Okay, excuse me, make a motion granting exemption from site plan review for the Bridgeport Fire District. Have a second?
Second.
Discussion. As everyone knows, the Bridgeport Fire District had a referendum vote, and they're expanding their firehouse on Barrett Street, and this is pretty routine, I think, with municipalities. Dean is on the line if anybody has a question specifically, or if not, we'll move forward. Dean, any input?
No, this is just comments from the school that I went to February in New York City. They can do it without approval.
Yeah. So I just put together the memorandum that was distributed around. There is well, there's a resolution, first off, so it would be adjusting that resolution. But it's also, there is a specific balance of interest test that comes from a court case involving Monroe County, and I outlined in the memo how each one of those factors to be considered, how each one of them weighs in favor of granting this exemption. And you're just granting the exemption for this specific project. It's not like a, lifetime thing where they can run off and do whatever they like. It's this specific project would be exempt from basically, it would be the site plan approval process, because all of our other requirements, they comply. So there's no variance, there's no anything like that where they're asking for relief from anything. It's just procedural.
Okay. Pat, is it necessary for me to read the resolution?
Well, you certainly can, but I believe everybody should have it in front of them in their packet.
We do.
And as long as it appears in full in the minutes that everybody is aware of what it is they are voting on,
Okay.
then we're fine.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Let's get in this, the change order for the sewers, okay?
Do that first.
Peter, give me a little hand here on the verbiage here. Peter, you still with us?
I'm here, yeah, I have some issues also.
Okay,
Sorry.
no problem.
So the change order, I don't have the agenda in front of me, the change order for the contractor?
Yes.
Number 5?
Yes,
The tentative is, under the project, the way we looked at the project is, we had allowances for additional inspection of the pipeline, the focus being trying to maximize as much.
right, I think,
As soon as possible.
okay, so Peter, just so I can make it official, it's a change order for the sewer line project? Correct?
Correct. So
Okay.
basically, the gist is, we can authorize additional funds for relining anything under work we haven't done, as well as we can shift the money of some components we won't be spending money on, lateral linings, and we can use that to kind of maximize how much additional sewer line we can reline. So the bottom line is it's a change order, it's a zero cost change order. There's no increase to the current authorized contract with WD Malone of like 2.2 million.
Right.
We're currently on project, basically on track to finish roughly slightly below their contract amount.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to accept a change order for the sewer line project and to authorize additional funding, to authorize no more additional funds to be spent other than the original cost, and to be able to shift money from one part of the project to the next. Have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? I think this makes sense. It's something we need to look at going forward. I don't know if your phone was ringing off the hook last Thursday, but mine was a steady ring. With the 2 inches of rain last Thursday, we've all been here before, and it's been happening a lot, but it was pretty serious out there. You know, manhole covers coming off, and this, and drainage problems and issues, and it's been an ongoing problem for the old village, and you know, something we need to keep looking at. This project was geared to help in that situation because so much stormwater gets into our sewer lines, and try to remediate as much as we possibly can until we run out of funds. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. All right. All right, let's see. I'd like to read a resolution introducing proposed local law and providing for public hearing. Whereas the town board of Seneca Falls believes it would be advantageous to the town to amend the parking restrictions in the town code. Now therefore be it resolved that proposed local law number 3, I think, 3, Nikki, do you know? You remember?
Yeah, I believe it is 3.
Of the year 2020 entitled Local Law Amending Chapter 280 of the Seneca Falls Town Code B, and the same is hereby introduced before the town board of the town of Seneca Falls, New York. And be it further resolved that copies of the aforesaid proposal of local law be laid upon the desk of each member of the town board. And be it further resolved that the aforesaid proposed local law be referred to the town of chief of police and highway superintendent for review and recommendation. Be it further resolved that the town board will hold a public hearing on said proposed local law in the town offices, 130 Over Street, Seneca Falls, New York, at 6 p.m. on June 2nd, 2020. And I'm going to add, hopefully, be it further resolved that the town clerk publisher cause to be published a notice of said public hearing in the official newspaper of the town at least 10 days prior thereto. Upon adoption of the foregoing provision, the clerk distributes the aforesaid local law members to the town board. So, can I have a second for that resolution?
Second.
Okay. So this is to change parking on 3 of the town's streets and highway. The first one would be Boston Avenue on the north side, and the motivation there is that, not that it's going to matter for the rest of the school year, but very difficult for buses to get down Boston Avenue. Okay? I had superintendent of schools talk to me about it, transportation director. I guess it's been ongoing for many years. So we'd like to restrict parking on the north side to make it easier for buses to come down there. The second street is East Barrett Street Extension. and that would restrict parking on both sides up to 1,000 feet on the north and south side of East Berry Street Extension. This is to handle traffic in that area with the Cuban Nation store there that sells cigarettes and vegetables. Traffic has become overbearing sometimes, and it's created a massive traffic problem on those side of the streets. Many homeowners, residents are crying, they're turning around, people are turning around their driveways, they're parking in front of their houses, et cetera, et cetera. So this would restrict parking up to 1,000 feet on both sides of East Berry Street Extension. And the third one is restrict parking on Oak Street, and again, this is related to the school bus, or the school garage now is over on Oak Street in our highway department, and it's going to be very difficult to get buses up and down Oak Street, which is a very narrow street to begin with, if there's parking on the side of it. And that's something we talked about when we agreed to allow the school district to move into that garage type of thing. So those are the three streets that we're talking about.
And I just want to point out that I distributed an email earlier today with the proposed language of where the town code, section numbers and the language of where the town code would be changed. So take a look at that. You may have to refer to the town code as it exists now to understand what the changes are. And then otherwise, going forward, this would be setting a public hearing at the next meeting date. And at that time, Mike, I would like to have something for our record from the chief of police, as well as our highway department, and then also the county highway department, about and possibly the school district, as you mentioned, about if we can get something in writing to create a record establishing the necessity for this action.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I will take care of the school district. You and Stu can communicate, and
Yep.
let's see, I will take care of the county.
Yeah, isn't East Berry Street Extension a county?
It is, it's County Road 116, inside the town of Seneca Falls. Yeah,
So they would have to,
they'd have to approve it as well.
and then they would post the signage.
It's, actually, the signs are already up, actually.
Really?
For Boston and Oak, would these be, would parking be restored there after they finish using our bus garage?
I would defer to Stu and Jim on that one, but certainly we can restore Oak Street for sure. I don't know about, Boston Avenue, I wouldn't think you want to restore Boston Avenue.
Boston, I'm assuming the list doesn't have what it used to be.
Right now you can park on either side of the street in Boston.
Yeah.
Right, so there will still be some parking there.
Correct.
I'm concerned about Oak Street. Have we taken two sides of parking completely away?
We are, but there's no, it's a very narrow street to begin with,
There's not
as
many
it is,
houses.
but, Stu, you have any, you were there, we looked at it, any insight there?
On Oak Street, I would not recommend parking on either side as it exists. I know there's been some preliminary discussions about fixing that road at some point in time, but as it sits right now, unless it's widened out, I would not recommend lifting that after the school buses move out of that area.
And I know, there's going to be some opposition pushback, but I'm not opposed to going back in a year and a half when the school district's out of there and, we revisit it, and I think we can certainly rescind the parking and change it under local law probably, but it's not a big deal type of thing.
Okay.
Okay? Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Just, what's our plan B for the public hearing?
6 o'clock.
I don't have a
It's
plan.
in the resolution.
I know that.
No, we're saying if we can't have
we're not
we're going to have to talk about that, because even if you can have a public hearing, we're going to have to restrict it. Because according to this, 49 people are allowed in the room, so we're gonna have some discussion here.
Either that or do like we do, have a virtual.
Or the other thing
People
is,
can
we might
call
have to
in.
move to the community center for the next few months.
Yeah.
And we can spread out a lot more and get more people in there. It's a good idea on my part, wasn't it,
We
Nikki?
can wait and see, yeah. Okay, sure.
Or if we
If you
did
say so.
any, to allow people to call in or possibly
That's what I'm
do it on the
thinking.
computer, we would
Right.
have to have the information in the public notice, you know, so we'd have to have it all set up before the notices go out or are posted or
Right.
are published.
Well, I'm hoping we're gonna get some,
The access codes and all that.
right, so I hope we get some definitive answers by May 15th from the governor, and that will give us 10 days to, plenty of time before June, whatever the date is. And then, you know, then I can communicate with the board as to how they want to proceed. So if he's allowing the public back into meetings with social distancing, then we can talk about using the community center so we can space people out. And then if not, we can do it like we did the planning board, zoning board, we do it a public meeting that way.
We can do it just like we're doing now,
Right.
where the department head sign
Right.
in or have a sign in.
So I think we
Phone
can cover
number
it,
for people to sign in.
okay?
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That's so carried. All right. Make a motion to purchase panic button system for town offices. This was a late addition. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion. I'm going to let Chief Pinstra take over from this point. Stu?
Yes, so this has been a topic of conversation for, I would say, the last few years, if not immediately after we moved into the new building. This is mainly for the municipal side of the 130 Overstreet. We would have 2 buttons over for my clerks in case somebody walked in and nobody was in the building at the time and they needed to contact somebody discreetly. But this is mainly for all of the court and assessor and the clerks and Nikki's office and even you, Mr. Farrar, if somebody comes after you, you have a easy way of discreetly pushing a button and activating law enforcement.
I don't need one. I've solved that problem. I just got a big bullseye on my door and just, it's all yours. So, kind of problem. No. Yeah. So anyway, you know, it's a safety issue. It's something, I know, I don't know, I'm sure Doug can probably talk about this a little bit too, but I know we added them when I was working in the school district, we added them to every classroom. It's just an unfortunate thing in the times we live, but the building's pretty wide open, you know what I'm saying, under normal conditions, not now, but the building's pretty wide open. You know, in my short tenure, there's been 2 people that, you know, I'm not afraid of too much, but they scared me a little bit. And, you know, they had some issues with the police department and past arrests, and they were looking to take a bite out of somebody, and that somebody was me. But, you know, I think it's a safety issue myself, and I think it's, you know, I'm not in favor of spending money, but I think it's something well spent on. And we had, Chief Pinster's got out 3 vendors for a quote type of thing. Questions, further discussion?
The lowest bidder was Covert Security, and that amount was $4,290. There's also, just to be clear, there's a $45 per month for cellular service for the communicator.
Right.
4,000, this says 6,778.
For Culvert, there's 3 different ones.
Oh,
there.
there's 3 in the packet?
Yeah, there's 3 in the
Yeah.
packet.
Culvert is the, yeah.
Gotcha, I thought this was the
Yeah.
Covert.
No.
Covert's the first one,
Yeah.
Life Safety is the second one,
Right.
and Lynn Star is the third
Thank
one.
you, sorry about that.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? So the motion is to purchase a panic button system from Covert Security for the municipal side of the town offices. And we've had a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's carried. Okay, and Chief Kinstra, you want me to call Covert, or you're going to take care of that, or how's that going to work?
I can take care of that.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I make a motion to accept the water sewer credits.
There isn't any.
There isn't any,
None.
okay? I just want to put on people's radar, even though something to be thinking about, okay? It's going to be interesting to play out, but, and I'll start collecting some data here as quickly as I can, but I think you're probably going to see a lower water sewage usage based on the pandemic, especially in the first quarter. And what that's going to do to the budget, I don't know, okay? So just something to think about, and I'll try to get you some data from the first quarter, and which is ended, and into the second quarter. And but with so many businesses not operating or closed completely or closed at a lower rate, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of economic impact on the water and sewer budget. So
People are washing their hands more.
yeah, but
you know, this goes back to the spending too. The governor's order came out, was it March 20th? Which is almost the very end of the first quarter. So I can understand these things having a lot of impact on the second quarter.
Second quarter, right.
But it would seem that
Right.
the first quarter,
Yeah.
and this is true of the landfill payment too,
Yeah.
probably should be pretty close to.
Yeah, and
normal size.
and you're, good point, and yeah, after the first quarter wouldn't matter, you're absolutely right. And Kyle did, he contacted me and said, the first quarter is only down slightly, okay, versus what it will be in the second quarter, yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, as far as I know, there's no need to go into executive session.
Can I make a recommendation that we add to the bottom of new business an item that says, is there any other new business? So that we ask, you know, board members.
Well, the chairperson usually says that.
Okay, but it could be on there, any new business. All right, that's fine, but I think sometimes it gets overlooked. It doesn't get
Just
asked.
speak up, just speak up.
No, you can do that, but it's nice if it's an item. A reminder, tickler.
Is there any other new business?
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. In consideration of the pandemic and the vast amount of changes and impact that it has on our community and others, and the state and what the state budget might be, and dollars coming in and landfill. I mean, I was thinking about this before, but I think it's even more appropriate now that perhaps we look into contracting a financial consultant to come in and perhaps look at our financial situation and make some recommendations. I mean, I don't know exactly what they do, but I think we could certainly benefit from someone that has the right skill set to come in and review.
We have someone, I don't think his name.
Bandino?
I can't
Bandino Group?
picture.
Bandino Group?
Donegan, Bernard Donegan, is he our financial consultant? We have.
He's not really the consultant, he's more of a overview of the books, I believe, I
An
don't.
auditor?
Yeah.
No. He's done our bonding,
Right,
yeah, no, he is like a financial consultant, I think.
When, I mean,
Certain.
it would benefit me personally. I don't know if the rest of the members of the board feel like it would help them. You know, pull all the numbers together, lay out possible options. If there's doom and gloom, that person could lay that out. If there's some bright areas, perhaps they could point that out. I think our goal is the same here. You know, we know we've got some challenges in the future, and we might need to rethink how to do business. So I just think if we got the right person, and of course, there's the challenge, right? Getting the right financial consultant, one that you can, number one, understand, right? I think it may be worth looking into to try to find someone.
I don't disagree. I think it's, I'm very concerned about, as I keep calling it, the ripple effect. And as we begin to, you know, start planning for 2021 and you start working on budgets, it would be good to have some type of information, financial information, to start moving, to start making plans, okay? Because we're going to have to make some hard decisions as we go along here, type of thing. So I can look into it.
You know, maybe dig up some names.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll first start where Nikki mentioned Dugan and see exactly financial what they do, and then they're very reputable and they're very good. But I don't think they're doing what you're talking about. I think it's something different. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll
Right. Not an auditor, so to speak.
No, I know. So I will do some checking. I'll check with some other municipalities as well. Maybe they have somebody in mind. Matt's a good resource for stuff like that. Matt Martin. I can check with Matt, and I'll get back to you guys in an email type of thing as to what it looks like. Okay. Okay. Any other new business for the good of the day?
Just, do we have news on the first quarter landfill check?
Do we have, I'm sorry,
Do we have news on the first quarter landfill check?
like, have we
Are
received
Are
it?
they holding it?
They have not given it to us.
Okay,
The first quarter is just ending March
No.
31st, so
First quarter goes
Right,
for a month and a
they
half.
don't usually,
So it's
May.
This is May, so it's time.
Yeah,
You know,
it's time.
I realize.
I mean, normally we'd be coming in, we should be coming in right now,
not May.
okay? But I don't know if that's gonna
The host
happen.
agreement says 30 days, but
30
they
days,
haven't
yeah.
been held to that for a long time.
And I'm still waiting for the audit, has been delayed out there. Remember, we haven't audited them in a few years, and that's happening, but with that couldn't happen because of the pandemic, so that's still on hold, okay? All right, can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
I'd like to make a motion, we pay the bills.
Pay bills.
That's probably a good idea, because if we don't,
We'll be back
we're in
here.
trouble.
Yeah, we are.
Steve made a motion to pay the bills. I second that. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I make a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Finger Lakes 1, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Department heads, thank you so much. Community members, hopefully you were involved in watching, and thank you so much.
28.
Anybody has any questions, feel free to email any of the board members or myself. Have a good night.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Okay. Steve, do you want some signing?
What's that?
You wanna do some signing?
No.
No?